I'm sure all of you have played a video game once before, but if not, you have at least heard of video games. Playing video games has been a huge part of my life, and others as well. Today I will be interviewing my good long known friend about the gaming discourse community. Jake, if you could, go ahead and introduce yourself and talk about the relationship that we have.
All right. Hi, my name is Jake, and I've been friends with Trevor for about 5 years now. And we actually met as part of the gaming discourse community, so it's pretty cool to be asked to be part of this interview.
Yep. Alright, so how long have you been a part of the discourse community, the gaming community?
Well, I've been in gaming since I was a little kid. Like 4 or 5 years old, playing old Nintendo consoles such as the Game Boy Advance or the GameCube. And over the years, I've just kind of naturally worked my way up as most kids would. The Wii, and then eventually on my 12th birthday, I got the Xbox 360, which was definitely more of an online console with more multiplayer games. And it was actually through that step that I really stepped forward into the real gaming discourse community and started interacting with people and learning learning the culture really.
Okay, same, and I can relate to that as well. What ways has the discourse community affected you?
It's affected me in a lot of ways, as it would most, especially in those developmental years. I mean, as I mentioned, we met because of the gaming discourse community, and we've met a lot of other good friends over the years.
And how does the language compare to general public English per se, or standard English?
Yeah, it can vary. Like sometimes they're more or self-originated, like it kind of came inside the bubble of this community, and others they're kind of branched off of normal English words and terms, kind of get their own new meanings in the context of the community.
Can you give some examples? Like, are there any specific words or slang or unique words to the gaming discourse community?
Oh yeah, there's a countless words and terms that kind of have a lot more definition or use here. For instance, a lot of games, especially with online games, with they get updates. There's things such as buffs or nerfs, which are very similar terms. They just kind of mean opposite things. For instance, like buff is kind of like something you get when your power is getting boosted or upgraded, either by an effect in game or by an update that's kind of changing the way the game works. And a nerf is the same for like a negative effect, so something that will like nerf your power down or make you less viable in a certain situation. And on top of that, like there's also like kind of community cornerstones for the gaming community. One of which being this website called Twitch, which is a live streaming platform. It's been around for a long time, and it's had a lot of years, especially in these formative years of the internet, to really develop a culture of its own. So there's a lot of emotes on that website that kind of would not make sense in other contexts, but really have created a use of their own. Like for one example, like Pog or Poggers is a emote on Twitch, and it really means like the emote displays like a person with their mouth open in an excited way, like very excited expression on their face. It's just used to convey that excitement of a really special moment that happened.
Alright, so when it comes to misconceptions, people often say or describe people in the gaming discourse community as lazy and antisocial. What are your thoughts on this, Jake?
I mean, from like a certain perspective, I suppose I can sort of see why some of these labels are slapped on, but I would say they're widely. I mean, there. I guess there's a little bit of truth to it, but I think widely they are pretty incorrect. Especially like, I mean, especially if you think about like, there's plenty of like streamers in the gaming community, people who kind of made playing games live for entertainment purposes their career, and these people have to be their own boss. So generally, they have to be pretty unless they get really lucky, they have to be pretty on top of things and sort of managing their time and the way they, maximize their outputs. So, just generally, a lot of people are kind of growing out of this outdated stereotype of people being lazy in gaming community. Just usually it's just normal adults or teens. And as for antisocial, this one I guess makes a little more sense because from one aspect, gaming is more of a on one side, of course, as I mentioned, is more of an individual thing. Specifically, single player games. People just like to sometimes just kind of hang out in their room and play a game for a while, relax. But on the other hand of things, it's kind of actually the opposite of the truth because online games are very very prevalent. The most popular type of game these days, especially multiplayer playing against others in a team of other players. So which requires communication and generally these people are actually pretty good at making friends because there are countless friend groups with strong bonds that have originated in this community. So I would say, at least given the times these stereotypes risen up, they're kind of understandable, but I think they're kind of outdated at this point.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. Outdated for sure. What would be the purpose of the discourse community?
As I sort of alluded to earlier, I would say it's. I mean, gaming is of course, a medium of entertainment, such as movies or books. So ultimately, the purpose of this community and gaming at large is just to entertain people in different ways, in very interactive ways as well. Especially for families, is a good way to kind of hang out with your siblings and stuff outside of other activities. So it's a pretty meaningful community, I'd say, with a lot of purpose and importance.
Yeah, you're right. Like, it's just there to have a great time. And that's all the questions I have for you. And thanks, Jake, for being part of this interview.
Yeah, thanks, man. It was a good time, kind of getting out there and hopefully letting some people know what it's like if they're not part of the community. It's a
Yes,
good time.
sir. Yes, sir.